everybody. Once again, Mauricio Garcia. I'm very happy that you are here with us. This is the only channel that really dives deep into the secrets that can enable anybody who is in business, who is a driven, determined dreamer, a modern-day Alexander, to go from where they are today to where they want to go. And to do that, I have the one and only, the Hall of Fame entrepreneur, my friend, partner, and host of this show, Mr. Hubert Humphrey. Hubert, how are you?
I'm great. Glad to be here. Just have a great session.
Great session. Well, I remember this all goes back to the great conventions that you put out in Vegas and all. And you were sharing with the audience that were there the epiphany you had on a flight where you're thinking about really going and conquering the entire world with this Alexander Inc. And since then, maybe the last 30 years, you've been building the Alexander Inc. And there's sometimes when somebody starts a business, like they don't even know why they call it the way they call it. Like it has no soul, then they'll figure out later why, it just sounds nice. Sometimes there's a no name. And of course, I'm not generalizing, but I do know I've actually done it in the past where I'm like, oh, this name sounds good, but there's not a lot of really substance behind it. But to me, it was very inspiring what this whole Alexander Inc. is. I want to take today's podcast for you to tell us why. As a matter of fact, to celebrate that, I have the Alexander shirt here, right? With one of the quotes says, "I'm not afraid of an army of lions led by sheeps." It says, "I'm afraid of an army of sheeps led by a lion." That's just a quote, but I know what we're going to talk about goes way, way, way deeper than that. And so tell us about what Alexander Inc. is. What kind of crusade are you on?
Well, I think if you give everybody one of those shirts as a good beginning, they'd all start to get it with that shirt. But seriously, that is the key right there. Is you said a lot of companies are just in business and they're motivated just by the business of it. In our model, first of all, I'm the kind of person that needs to be something I love to do what I enjoy. I love to be a part of a great adventure. And to me, I mean, I'd always wanted to become a hero, a star. I don't care if it was I grew up in the early rock and roll era, and even as a 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old person, some of those early songs, I loved all that. And I grew up wanting to be a great athlete, whatever. I think every little boy wants to be a hero. But even in business, I wanted to be a hero, and I loved history, and I studied a lot of history and read a lot of books about a lot of different things, and it was a part of the big A.L. Williams movement, which was a historic thing. But I had my own. I had the Humphrey National Network inside of A.L. Williams, and then later Humphrey Worldwide Network. But it just still didn't have that romantic feeling, that feeling of adventure. It was successful, and boy, I enjoyed everything I was doing. But I knew that I needed something that was a rallying cry, something that I could that was a bigger story. I always tell you that one of the principles of success is that you have to be aligned with something bigger than yourself. Well, for me, I was aligned obviously with art and the whole big A.L. Williams movement, but I wanted to be aligned with a bigger idea, and so I kind of had studied a little bit about Alexander the Great. I wasn't an expert in it, but I got a copy of actually a draft of just before it came out. It came out there in the mid-'80s, and the actual book came out a little later, a couple of years later. But I had a draft of this book called The Alexander Complex by Michael Meyer. Mm-hmm. And in it, he had chosen 5 or 6 different modern-day business people who he thought had the Alexander Complex, and he described things about them. So I was just sort of reading it a little bit. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me what he was doing here. He was describing what the Alexander Complex was, and he described how Alexander had it, and then this whole thing about Alexander Inc., which is sort of our subject for today. Mm-hmm. It was that idea. In fact, I think I may have shared this on previous podcasts before a little bit, but it won't hurt to repeat it again because it's so critical. Is that I was on my jet, had Francis Avett, one of our superstars there in A.L. Williams, sitting next to me. We were flying over to L.A. to do a big meeting, and we were just getting ready to start descending. And I was just finishing a few pages in this book, and all of a sudden I get to this paragraph here, and this is see, I'm a copier, guys. I don't create anything. I'm a copier. It says Alexander's feats defy the skeptics. You can better appreciate the sweep of the man by imagining him in business, arguably the last frontier in today's more circumscribed world. Then this is what hit me. He said his sprawling holding company, Alexander Inc., what a name, Alexander Inc., would span dozens of advancing technologies and industries, from technology to finances, you name it. Because he wouldn't be out conquering worlds, he'd be conquering business channels, business environments, business worlds. In philanthropy, he would be conquering philanthropy, anything. He'd be doing all of that. He'd be the biggest and best there was out there. But anyway, the words Alexander Inc. That's a corporate name. If Alexander the Great were alive today, he'd probably call himself Alexander Inc. And then it just hit me. I said, what a name. And so I said, Francis, look here. Yeah, basically, I kind of took that name to be sort of the motto. And so all of a sudden, inside the big A.L. Williams Company here, the Humphrey hierarchy now became Alexander Inc. It was just a theme, a name, and trying to go out there and get modern day Alexanders who wanted to go out and conquer their future, and that's who I was looking for. I was looking for people who wanted to think that way, that could be a part of something big. You know, I don't think we're doing the Alexander Inc. So a lot of people are not going to want to copy that. But you need to have something that is an all-encompassing picture of what you want to accomplish. You know, what are you going to be? Are you what's going to be sort of the theme of your business that you're trying to rally people toward? It needs to be a mission statement, a mission that motivates. It needs to be it needs to have a vision that they can all buy into and share. So that's where that conquer your future, conquer the business world, it goes on. That's why it gave me great confidence that as we built the first great company, I said, if we've done it once, man, we got the great system. We can go out there now with bigger and better products, and I dreamed a bigger dream. And so now when I want to conquer another portion of the industry, and then later as we sold that company, I wanted to go conquer another portion of the industry. And it's just keep dreaming the bigger dream, and that's sort of what Alexander Inc., the idea, really means.
No, I just really hope that people understand the importance of being aligned with something bigger than yourself. What you just described there sums it up for me. Like, what inspires you? Like, to what are you comparing yourself to? And I know you're not necessarily saying here that you're Alexander the Great, but the whole philosophy behind it, maybe even going deeper, because here we began the show by saying everybody has dreams. When we're kids, we look up to heroes, and who doesn't want to be significant, right? Who doesn't want to be a real life hero, stuff like that. But then you said you wanted to be a hero in business, and I know that's probably not when you were a kid. That's when you already had some level of success, and then you found this Alexander Inc., and it took the vision to a whole new level, right? Like you had a bigger thing that you aligned yourself with, and try to bring those principles. Like, what are the things that Alexander would do if he was in business today? Which is the way I understand what you're saying. And then the other thing which I want people to know, and Andres, I know you can find this. I want you to put it here, if you can, on the podcast, is that just because building two multi-billion-dollar market cap companies are not just out of luck. And so I want you guys to see what this man did here. The minute he basically got off the jet and called one of the, if not maybe at that time, one of the most popular, most read newspaper in the country, and published a full-page ad just to see the commitment of what he's doing to this day. Tell us a little bit about what was behind, buying a full-page ad here on the USA Today back in the day.
Once we had we'd built the big A.L. Williams Company, and it had now been purchased by Sandy Weil and from Art Williams, and was being renamed Primerica Financial Services, and part of the big Primerica piece, which is now going to be part of the big City Group empire. I knew I stayed about a year after that, and Art was already gone, and I knew that they had a vision of how they wanted to institutionalize things, and my vision was bigger than that. I'd already made a mistake. What is a good mistake? I had already dreamed a bigger dream. My ideas and my desires were bigger than the company that I was in all of a sudden, and I kind of felt like Moby Dick in a goldfish bowl, and I just said, my gosh. And so anyway, I proceeded to just say, well, there's no openings for someone like me to make $6-7 million a year building big empires. If I'm going to go someplace, I'll let them do what they want to do. We built this to the place it needs to be. I need to go find some new venture, and to build this Alexander Inc. idea even on a much broader scale. And that's when I went out to do it. So as I was doing that, I just it cost about $150,000. This was back in like January of 1991. Put an ad in the USA Today. In the back page of the sports section, which is a very popular page, four color, big full page ad announcing the birth of Alexander Inc. and Hubert Humphrey, and just laid it out there just for what we wanted to accomplish and what it was going to look like, and so that's another part of one of the success principles. You got to publicly declare your attentions to people, to your people, to your uplines, to anybody. And I best way I could declare my intention to you know who my upline was? My upline was the world.
Yeah, talk about making a commitment.
I wanted to burn my bridges where, boom, there everybody sees it on this advertisement out there. That was long before the internet. That would be like me just blasting it through every platform out there in the internet today. But anyway, it has a way of pulling the commitment out of you. You know, yesterday we talked about mental toughness. That you don't do that until you've developed some pretty more mental. I wasn't tough enough to do that 10, 12 years earlier, but I was tough enough then to do that. You grow into it. So you got to understand, when I'm doing this now, we just got through revolutionizing the industry. We go out and build a multi-billion-dollar market cap company, and on to the next one. So I had a lot of those calluses, if you will, on my hands from system calluses and repetition of doing a lot of things, and had thousands of people. So I had a lot of confidence in what I was doing. But even at that, when you're confident and you've had a lot of success at any level you're at, you've got to go get uncomfortable again. You got to go be willing to do something all over again. You got to start from scratch. If you don't have that ability to do that, eventually you're going to quit growing. You're either going to be growing or dying in this business. And I knew for me to just sit back and just clip my coupons now from age 40 to the rest of my life, because I'd have been one bored puppy. I had a lot of money, but I would have been. I wasn't one of these guys that just wanted to just make some money and have a bunch of toys. I had a bunch of toys, but it was achievement of the success, and making money wasn't so much making money to have money. It was just we're keeping score. I just wanted to make. All I wanted was more than the next guy, because that's what the scoreboard said. Now, you do things with that money, but there's only so much you can do with money. You want the adventure of it. I'm just one of those that Alexander complex we talk about. You know, I had that. I lived in the grip of that vision that Alexander had to have when he was doing what he was doing back in his day. And I just want to be Hubert the best I can be. I want to be Hubert the very best I can be. That's my name. You know.
Yeah.
And,
oh man,
by the way,
there's so much.
By the way, Mauricio, we will probably never have a show where we talk about Alexander the Average and Ordinary. Nobody ever talks about him. You know that? No, history books don't say anything about him.
Only the great. Only the great. Never Alexander the Ordinary, just Alexander the Great.
And you know who called him the Great? He started out as an 18-year-old telling people that he wanted to be Alexander the Great. He wanted to be the hero that he saw in the Iliad and the Odyssey when he was going to with Aristotle's academy, and as a young boy when he was 14, 15, he studied all those Greek heroes out there that were the great heroes of the Greeks' glory. He wanted to be great like them and remembered like them long after he was dead. So he basically declared his intentions to become the great, and he went out there and very quickly he inspired all of his these soldiers who were 2 and 3 times his age that had followed his father. They all rallied around him. He had 50,000 disciplined guys, so they went out to do something that had never been done before. They were going up against eventually going up against the
Persian
great
army.
The great Persian army out there, and they were going. They had 1 million men, you know. So Darius Darius II was the king. He was a descendant of the original Darius that had beaten the Greeks one time many years ago. That was another thing that motivated him was revenge. You know, all of us got a little revenge. I wanted some revenge, not physical revenge, but I wanted a little bit of revenge for all those naysayers that had said I couldn't do something, and said all the guys on the railroad thought I was crazy for leaving, and all the people that when I was out trying to be an entrepreneur that wouldn't loan me money here at the bank, or wouldn't do this or wouldn't do that, or all my family, all these different people who said couldn't do this, I was crazy. Well, you know, that little chip on your shoulder. It's good to have a chip on your shoulder, guys. When the chip falls off, that means you've done laid down somewhere at the wrong angle. Woo. And it fell off your shoulder, okay?
Yeah, this has been one of my most favorite podcasts. I invite everybody to listen to it again, study what this man is saying. And you know what, Hubert, I guess to wrap it up, I was thinking as you were speaking, if there was an Aristotle Academy today, that would be great. If there was Aristotle Academy. Wait a minute.
There is.
Wait a minute. There is. There's actually an Aristotle Academy today. You make driven, determined dreamers into modern-day Alexanders, guys. You have to, if you need to know, if you want to know, if you're wondering what is really required to win big in business, to solve the income game, we've got a whole campaign now, we're working on for you to understand how this happens. And it's led by the legendary Hubert Humphrey, who is with us every single day. I want to open a parenthesis here and say, why are you still doing this? After 40 years of massive success, Hubert, people could maybe confuse this with a bad ambition. Or, you know, they don't seem to understand what is to maybe live, like you said, you know, in that grip of a vision, like you're trying to accomplish something, doing these podcasts every single day with everything that you have to do. You're here. You're sharing this thing. Why are you doing that?
Well, one is that I love it, and I spent my whole life, the things that I've learned early in my career, and then as I've learned at the next level and the next level, my whole style is to give it away. The more I give it away, the more I get from it, and I'm sharing it with a lot of people who join me in this army, and it helps build our business in a more successful way. So my whole nature is to share, and my whole life's an open book. You know, in fact, people take our books and our stuff and learn from it. But the key, guys, is to not just hear it intellectually, but you need to get close enough to the fire. That's why we invite a lot of people to join with us and give our business a try. You doing your other business, do that. Give this one a try on the side, and just give it a comparison. And here this academy that we have the Aristotle Academy, if you will. That's how we build our business. Everything we do is teaching people the success principles of how to become a modern day Alexander going forward and build your version of Alexander Inc.
I'm going to give you guys a little glimpse here of the academy, the Aristotle Academy that we're talking about. But for now, the best thing you can do is go to hgiopportunity.com. Why? Because there's a whole presentation about what this academy is, what this opportunity is. And you need the vehicle to go to where you want to go. Not every vehicle is the same. Not every industry is the same. And I really would like you to learn what I have learned, which is that there are many income types or many income sources that you can get, even from the same industry. A lot of people out there who are looking for ways to make like multiple sources of income from all these different industries, and all they get is confusion and unfocused. They really never materialize that, when there's actually ways to be able to generate multiple income types, I call them, from the same industry, the right system. So I can't wait for people to go check it out. Hegemon Group International is the sponsor of this podcast, and we're just trying to pass on the things that really work. All the stuff that's out there, trust me, it's not the same level of things, maybe I'll call them, that we really need. Anyways, go to hgiopportunity.com. You'll thank me later. And Hubert, as always, thank you so much for everything that you do here, sharing this value. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. See you later.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms, as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.